A tree within walking distance of where you are sitting right now is producing a liquid that Norse craftsmen at Hedeby tapped every spring for energy, liver function, and immunity, and it has cost nothing to collect for 10,000 years. This knowledge vanished from Western practice almost exactly when the bottled supplement industry scaled to global size in the mid-20th century. Not because it failed, because it worked too well to be sold. What you're about to learn to collect is birch sap, raw, mineral-loaded, enzyme-active, and one timing decision you will make in the next few minutes determines whether yours is potent or water. Else Rosedahl documented in The Vikings, Penguin 1987, that Norse communities from Burka to Hedeby maintained systematic, deliberate relationships with forest resources. Not occasional foraging, but organized, seasonal harvesting built into the rhythm of the year. Birch was a utility tree, bark for tar, wood for ships, inner bark for famine food, and sap every spring before the first leaf broke. The mechanism that makes this sap biologically extraordinary is not in the bark you can see. It is happening underground, right now, under pressure you cannot imagine from the surface, and you will understand exactly what that pressure is doing after you learn how to intercept it. The mistake most people make when they try this is drilling too deep. That single error ruins the tap and injures the tree. Do not drill into the heartwood. You will understand why the depth matters so precisely once you are holding the tool. Find a birch. Silver birch, downy birch, any member of the genus Betula. The trunk needs to be at least 20 centimeters across, roughly the span of your two fists side by side. Walk around it. Choose a section of bark that faces south or southwest where early morning sun reaches it directly. That orientation is not decoration, it determines pressure. Mark your spot at roughly knee height, angled slightly away from direct root lines. Take a drill bit no wider than 8 millimeters, or a sharp knife if that is what you have. You are cutting a hole at a downward angle, 30 degrees below horizontal, aimed slightly toward the center of the tree. Drive it in no more than 4 centimeters. You will feel the resistance shift as you pass through the fibrous outer bark and enter the sapwood beneath. Stop the moment it changes. The sapwood is pale, almost white, and if the timing is right, liquid will appear within seconds of the bit withdrawing. Clear, faintly sweet, smelling of cold water and something older than cold water. Oh, push a small tube into the hole. A bamboo skewer with the pith hollowed out works. A piece of food-grade plastic tubing works. A carved elderberry twig, sealed at both ends except the channel, is what the craftsman at Hedeby would have recognized. The tube needs to angle downward, so gravity does the work. Press it in firmly enough that it seats without a gap. Not so hard that you crack the sapwood around the entry point. Notice how the sap arrives not in a rush, but in a rhythm. One drop. Pause. Another. 1 to 2 drops per second is correct pressure. That is not failure. That is the tree working exactly as it should. Hang or prop a clean vessel at the tube's end. A glass jar, a clay pot, a plastic bottle with the top removed. Archaeological excavations at Hedeby's workshop, layers recovered birch bark vessels sealed with pine resin used for exactly this purpose, documented in Rosedahl's field surveys of the site. Yours can be simpler. Cover the opening loosely with clean cloth to keep debris and insects out, but do not seal it airtight. The sap is enzymatically active. It breathes. Return in 4 to 6 hours. In ideal conditions, nights still dropping to freezing, days sunny and climbing above 5 degrees Celsius, a single tap on a mature birch yields 1 to 3 liters in a sitting. If you return to less than a cup, the season has closed. The freeze-thaw cycle is the engine. No overnight freeze means no root pressure, means no sap worth drinking. Come back earlier next spring. The window is real, and it is narrow. Now, the step that separated successful Norse harvesters from those who came back to a dying tap. It is not the drilling, it is not the vessel, it is the sealing. When your collection is done, withdraw the tube slowly and press a tight-fitting plug of hardwood, cork, or rolled beeswax firmly into the hole until it sits flush with the bark surface. The tree does not require help healing, but it needs the wound closed so it does not lose sap pressure overnight. A properly sealed tap on a healthy tree can be reopened and used for 3 to 5 consecutive spring seasons. An unsealed one bleeds out, stresses the cambium, and closes permanently. One action. 30 seconds. The difference between a resource and a one-time extraction. Drink the sap fresh within 24 hours, kept cold. After 48 hours it ferments, a different drink, used intentionally in Norse communities, but not what you collected today. Raw, fresh sap is the spring tonic. It is nearly colorless, faintly sweet at the back of the throat, and it absorbs faster than plain water. Before you drink a full day's portion, taste a small amount first. Clarity should be perfect, colorless to faintly golden, never cloudy, never particulate. Traditional Scandinavian ethnobotanical records, compiled across Finnish and Norwegian folk medicine archives, describe 1 liter per day during the tapping window as the standard dose. That window runs 2 to 4 weeks. What consistent annual use does to long-term metabolic markers over a lifetime is exactly where the science is about to land. One physical principle explains why this is not flavored groundwater. It explains why the mineral content is unusually precise. And it explains why the spring window is the only window that matters. The tree is not passively filtering soil moisture. Root pressure, the hydraulic force generated when soil temperature rises and osmotic gradients form between root cells and the surrounding ground, is actively driving dissolved minerals upward through the xylem at pressures that can exceed 3 atmospheres. Think of an espresso machine forcing hot water through compacted grounds under pressure, pulling compounds that simple soaking never could. That is the kitchen version. The technical name is positive xylem pressure, and it is a deciduous tree-only phenomenon, occurring only in early spring before the leaf canopy opens and transpiration takes over the sap pull. Once leaves emerge, root pressure collapses. The pressure that built all winter, loaded with everything the roots absorbed, releases through the tap you just made. Then it is gone until next year. What rides that pressure upward is not random. It is potassium, calcium, magnesium, manganese, folic acid, malic acid, and xylitol, a sugar your liver metabolizes without triggering insulin response. The potassium to magnesium to calcium ratio in fresh birch sap mirrors the mineral profile used in hospital-grade electrolyte solutions, formulated for post-surgical IV rehydration. The Finnish Natural Resources Institute published findings in 2018 confirming measurable betulinic acid content in fresh sap with documented antioxidant and hepatoprotective effects in controlled conditions. This knowledge retreated from mainstream European folk medicine in almost precise correlation with the rise of industrial supplement manufacturing. Not because the studies failed, because the tree cannot be patented. If this gave you something you can use immediately, subscribe and share it with one person currently paying monthly for what you just learned to collect from the ground. Every video on this channel costs less than what you will save in the first week. Neil Price, in The Viking Way, Cambridge 2019, documents the people of Birka, a Norse trading center active from 750 to 975 CE, enduring months of winter darkness, stored and salted food, and cold that should have stripped immune function down to nothing every spring. They had no pharmacy. They had a birch stand and the knowledge of when to tap it. That knowledge is intact. The trees are intact. The pressure is building underground right now in birch roots within walking distance of wherever you are. You are someone who takes resources from the ground that no corporation can put a label on. The birch stand at Birka is still producing. The tree does not know 1,000 years past. It is doing exactly what it always did. And now, so are you. If that means something to you, the next technique is already filmed and waiting. And it costs even less than this one.